is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so here's the situation we have for you, ladies and gentlemen. We have a few things that we're going to be talking about today in regards to Jerry and our latest tropical storm, Karen, over here in the subtropics. We're going to be talking about that today, and then we're going to be talking about something else towards the end of the video that I really want to get into, so feel free to stay tuned for that. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive right into it right here. So starting off, we have Tropical Storm Jerry over here north of the Lesser Antilles. It has been sheared to bits at this current point. It's currently a 50-mile-per-hour tropical storm. It was at 65 miles per hour yesterday. Pressure has really risen up to 1,006 millibars, moving northwest at 16 miles per hour. Currently located 140 miles north of the northern Leeward Islands. All tropical storm warnings have been discontinued as of the 11 a.m. advisory. And what we can tell you as well is tropical storm force winds extend outward 185 miles east of the center for you guys. So it's mainly a lopside towards the eastern side. It's been sheared to bits. That's what we're dealing with Jerry. Got up to 65 miles per hour. Then it started to, then the center really started to kind of get more elongated and all of that. So that's why we're seeing this weakening trend at this current point in time. And looking at the discussion, we can even show you this even from the NHC. Jerry is not a healthy tropical storm this morning. The low-level circulation, as seen in satellite imagery and Air Force Hurricane Hunter data, is elongated and in a southeast-northwestern direction, with most of the associated deep convection displaced well to the south-southeast. Currently, the intensity is held at 45 knots based on the flight level winds of 54 knots, and mainly due to the reconnaissance that they have in there. Based on their latest advisory, they're not expecting much strengthening, only getting up to 60 miles per hour, which is a major shift from what we've seen previously. And another thing to note is, like, we had an 85 miles per hour peaked yesterday. Now we're all the way down to 60. So the shear has really been pretty relentless with Tropical Storm Jerry. And that is some good news for the Lesser Antilles, mainly because we were a bit concerned about this system getting close to that area and then kind of bring some impacts. That shear lessens those considerably as well, so we're definitely going to want to still pay attention to it. But right now, Jerry is currently moving out to sea, and we can go ahead and show you that with the cone. It's starting to pull out to sea. It's going to make a very 90-degree-ish turn as it gets towards Bermuda, and then mainly become subtropical and dissipate by Wednesday. So that's what we're dealing with Tropical Storm Jerry. And now for the memes of the video. We have Tropical Storm Karen. There's already been a lot of memes in some of the Discord servers I've been in talking about this. We have our Karen, which is over here, which is basically the most northernmost tropical cyclone that has ever developed. It's really high up in the subtropics. It's not expected to last long. It's expected to become extratropical and dissipate. In fact, it's a subtropical storm in itself, but it's named. So that's what we have for a public advisory. Karen continues to northeast with no change in strength. Maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour. Minimum central pressure of 998 millibars. And it's moving at 13 miles per hour. So that's something that we're going to be paying attention to moving forward. Winds of 40 miles per hour or greater extend outward up to 45 miles from the center. So that's definitely something that we're going to want to pay attention to. We've already don't need to show that much. We can show you the cone once again, but it's not really going to be that much. It's going to dissipate. It's not really going to do that much. That's something I'm not particularly too worried about. So that's the latest we have from the National Hurricane Center. We're still watching our Central American gyre, and we're still watching those areas as well that the Climate Prediction Center has issued. The CPC does have one other area in the main development region starting next week, but after that, I think the MDR is going to be shut down for the season, and then after that, it's going to mainly be the gyre that kind of carries the rest of the season. And then from then on out, you do have a situation where we have to start pivoting towards winter weather and kind of talking about that. There will be a video out giving my little outlook and my little forecast out sometime next week. I'm going to start working on it this weekend, so that way we can get that and we can kind of give you an idea of what I think is going to be happening this winter based on the data we have so far. But as we go ahead and show you satellite imagery, we can go ahead and pull this up for you right here. We have Tropical Storm Jerry for you. Once again, it is sheared to bits. The main area of it right here, this is the center of circulation, ladies and gentlemen. The main convection is way to the southeast of this system right here, and it's just really just not doing a good job, with the exception of one big burst of convection that keeps going and bringing rainfall to much of the Lesser Antilles. If you're still tuning in from there, you're going to see some heavy rainfall for a few hours. You're going to want to pay attention to it, and we're going to keep you updated on that as this moves out, probably in the next 12 to 24 hours. But ultimately, Jerry is very unhealthy. It's just very elongated. It's not really doing a good job. The shear has not let up as originally it was forecasted to. And at this point, it's just starting to fall apart. So that's some good news for the Antilles and for those who have been affected by this system in the Atlantic. So that's what we're looking at right here. And I can even show you on true color imagery just how sheared this system is. Right here, you can see how it is. The shear is mainly blowing from the northwest into the southeast, like the extreme southeast, rather. The center of circulation is all the way up here, and there has been a little bit of convection trying to blow up in this part, but then you start noticing just how far to the southeast that the convection is over here. It's just, this is a scenario where you're not going to see that much of a chance of recovery, and I don't see this system really strengthening as much as it moves out into the Atlantic, especially with how relentless the shear has been so far. Still going to want to watch it, especially for Bermuda, but by and large, I'm not too concerned about that. Now shifting over to Tropical Storm Karen, or Subtropical Storm Karen, rather, it's also starting to kind of fade in terms of convection. Yeah, the circulation is still there. Don't expect this to last very long. It's the fact that it's this far to the north is already pretty impressive to me at this current point. We can go ahead and show you this right here. It is 46.8 degrees to the north. That is well into the subtropics right there. That's closer to the polar part of the Earth than the tropical part of the Earth, which is pretty impressive in itself. But ultimately, I'm not really too worried about that. Karen's not going to do too much, so that's mainly the main thing we can go ahead and talk to you about. Now shifting over to ensembles, I want to go ahead and talk about the about this region right here in the Central American Gyre, kind of give a quick update as to what's going on over there and what the latest ensembles are showing for you guys right here. Here's the situation, and we'll go ahead and go back to about 120 hours out, so October 15th. You do have a few ensembles popping up here and there according to the European, mainly heading towards Cuba. We're seeing a lot of these ensembles moving all over the place right now, so that's definitely something that we're going to want to pay attention to moving forward. But ultimately, I'm not really too sure as to what's going on. You do see these ensembles popping up more and more across much of the region right here, but they're mainly scattered and all over the place, especially with the 0Z European right here. We're going to want to wait and see, number one, how this will perform, and number two, how the Eastern Pacific area of interest may start to perform as well, because if we do start seeing that area of development, you'll go, okay, we're going to want to watch and see how that's going to affect Caribbean development over there, because what we typically see is usually it's either the Eastern Pacific or it's the Caribbean or the Bay of Campeche. It's one of those two basins, and the reason for that is, especially in the case of the Eastern Pacific, you have a scenario in which if the system gets large enough, it can shear, because the outflow can shear a lot of the areas in the Caribbean and mainly make it an unfavorable area of development. Based on some computer models I have seen previously, that doesn't seem to be the case. It looks like it's going to be more of a mesoscale setup where it's not going to be large enough to have that an effect, but we're going to want to pay attention to that down the line. And that's your European ensembles, looking at the GFS as well. Taking a quick gander, that GFS is still kind of all over the place as well at the gyre development, more so favoring the Eastern Pacific over here, but that's something that we're going to want to pay attention to down the line. So that's kind of the main basis that we have with this right here. And just for my own curiosity, I do want to check the shear in the moisture forecast in that part of the gyre going as well. So here's the European shear forecast for you right here. Here's the wind shear. Right now, it's in a pretty low sheared environment at this current point around the gyre. There is a little bit of shear to the south of it right here, but I'm not particularly too worried about that. It mainly stays in the Gulf and north of the area right there until about October 14th. Then even then on the 15th, you do have a pretty low sheared environment that would be supportive of some tropical development in that part of the Atlantic. And like I said before, this area right here mainly is too mesoscale to have much wind shear kind of affect it right here. So that's your shear that you're dealing with, and even going into the next week or so, you still have a pretty low wind sheared environment as well. So that's something to pay attention to. The shear is definitely there, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Climate Prediction Center has highlighted this as an potential area of interest, a 40% risk in that region, by the way, as well. So we're definitely going to want to pay attention to that. In terms of the moisture component, yes, there is some dry air over there, and there is going to be pretty interesting to see how that pans out. But the dry air aspect of it isn't particularly that bad at this current point. Not as bad compared to what we're seeing in the Gulf, where it's just completely just choked with dry air right here. You do have a lot of mixable dry air. That kind of situation where you see a lot, where you have convection and it runs into this kind of dry air, it's not enough to kind of choke it out. And as long as the system can produce enough convection, it can produce that dry air, mix out that dry air. So that's definitely something also to pay attention to as well. So that's what you're seeing with the shear and moisture forecast. So the conditions aren't particularly that bad. They're actually relatively decent compared to what we've seen previously. The main thing we're going to want to watch is, number one, how the MJO will react, and number two, just what ends up happening from the gyre. So those are the main things that I'm paying attention to right there, and taking a look at those conditions. You're definitely going to want to pay attention to what's going on. If you're still being affected by Jerry, if you're watching Karen for just for the laughs and the memes, that's mainly what's going on in the Atlantic right now. But that's pretty much what we have going on. And now that we're done with the weather part of this, I do want to kind of talk about something that kind of piqued my interest in the last hour as of recording this video. So, for those of you who do not know, there's a YouTuber out there. His name's Penguin Zero. His real name's Charlie Critical, however you want to call him. He recently uploaded a video talking about how apparently a law firm for Reed Timmer and another YouTuber that was representing him was apparently trying to sue him for maybe some clips now he had one of the streams. The context of this is basically during Hurricane Milton. For those of you who do not know, Charlie lives in Tampa Bay. During Hurricane Milton, he was streaming as the hurricane was impacting him. Don't worry, he was in a safe spot. He wasn't really affected by it. He was mainly inland, but ultimately, he showed a couple of clips. Like he was watching Ryan Hall's stream, and hold on, let me check and see what his name. Let me see what his name is. It's Reed Timmer and Brad Arnold. So Brad Arnold was kind of streaming through Ryan Hall, and Charlie showed a little bit of a clip of that, maybe like 30 seconds or so in a multi-hour stream. And then with Reed Timmer towards the end of the stream, it was maybe for at most like 90 seconds or so in a stream that was at multiple hours long. And I wanted to talk about this because this is something has piqued my interest for a couple of reasons. Number one, when we stream on Pat's Path Predictor, we do show some footage that comes from Twitter and all of that stuff. Just to kind of give an idea of as to some of the conditions that we're dealing with, and we show that online. And there is some footage that we have shown in the past, and that's kind of a little bit of a concern for me now, because if we're going to see a situation where we have the potential lawsuits happening for apparent copyright infringement, even though the clips fall under fair use, this is something I've been kind of privately talking to some people about. My position on this is, as long as it's not, like a carbon copy of and you're not re-uploading other people's content, and you're just using it for proportionally, like kind of looking at it on a stream for a little bit, or when I mean a little bit, I mean like 2 minutes at most, or you're using it for a documentary as B-roll footage or something like that. I have no problem with. In fact, I have storm chasing footage I have uploaded on YouTube in the past, and I've told people that, hey, I don't care what you do with it as long as you don't just re-upload it onto your channel. If you do that, I will take action. But if you want to use it for documentaries, use B-roll as B-roll footage, or you want to react to it, I am more than happy for you guys to do that, because I believe in fair use, and I feel like this is something that the weather community should kind of be more accepting of. And that's how a lot of the content creators kind of do it. That when they make videos, they use clips of other people's footage as B-roll and to make their own videos. Especially in the commentary community, that's especially pronounced as well. So that's kind of where I'm standing on with this. And the other reason I'm interested in this is, let's say this lawsuit goes through, and let's say this whole thing goes to court and all that, because this is just some papers Charlie got. It was poorly written from the way he was describing it. But ultimately, the thing I'm concerned about with this, and this is the main reason I'm making this video, is because, or at least the point of this video is, I fear that if we see a situation where content creators get sued, especially from the weather community and from chasers, because they used like a 30 seconds of their content. I have a problem with that, because that could set a bad precedent, because there are quite a lot of people, quite a lot of YouTubers that do this as well. They use other content for streaming. They react to that sometimes. And while they're doing that, for example, we use there's some instances where we use camera footage and all of that, like sky cams and all of that from media stations. My concern for that is it opens the door for a lot of other people to get come after, and it would make making YouTube videos, it would make kind of the stuff that we do here at Pat's Path Predictor a bit more concerning, and that's why I'm so concerned about this, because theoretically, if this went to court and Brad Arnold and Reed Timmer won, that would set a bad precedent, because next thing you know, theoretically, because I reacted to someone's Twitter post of some footage on there for 30 seconds, that could be a situation where I could get sued. That's the precedent it kind of sets, and that's why I'm so concerned about this. And I want to also use my platform to make it clear that I stand behind fair use. Before Pat's Path Predictor, I was more in the commentary community side of things, and fair use was a big topic back then, as it is still today. And ultimately, and I'm making this stance right now because, number one, if people want to react to my content, if people want to react to the videos I make, so the storm chasing footage I make, or use it for documentaries and B-roll footage and all of that, you're more than welcome to do that. I want to use this platform to make that clear if you want to do that. The only thing that I ask is you give me credit, and the only thing I ask is you don't just go download it and re-upload the entire video onto your channel. If you do that, I will take action if you do that. But if you want to use some of it for your documentary, or want to react to it on stream, or do anything like that, or maybe make a funny moment out of some of my videos, I have no issue with that. I entertain that, and I look at that and I go, hey, that's just giving me more publicity right there. So that's kind of this my stance on all of this right here. And just the thing that bothers me about this is, number one, first of all, I forgot to emphasize this. We don't know if Reed or Brad sent this themselves, or if this was just their law firm that sent this. We don't know all the facts about that. Number one. Number two, if that was the case and they did send that, I don't like that sentiment right there. I can understand where they're coming from if maybe someone re-uploaded their content frequently, or someone used a large chunk of it in their stream or in their documentary. But if it's like a 30-second clip in a multi-hour stream, or a 30-second clip in a 40 to 50-minute documentary, that shouldn't be scrutinized right there. And I just wanted to make these points right here because I stand with fair use, and I'm kind of saying right now that if anyone wants to react or use my footage, go for it. I don't mind that. And I hope other weather YouTubers will join me in making that stance. I hope David Schlotthauer will make that stance with me as well. I could definitely see some good publicity going his way. Same with Weather Kingdom and some of the other weather YouTubers I talk to on a regular basis. I hope those guys will stand with me, and I hope others will stand with me as well and say that we stand for fair use, and that's what this community should start doing going forward. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close the video out right here. I really hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. Help out, hang out, ask us questions. As always, join the Storms United Discord server. And with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.